Buying and selling a home can cause people to get a little messed up in the head. So let's give you a little brain check today and see if you're ready for a smooth move. That's right, today we're going to give you a little head check to make sure you've got a healthy headspace, perspective that is proper, and a constructive consciousness before you start the home buying and selling process. In case you're new here, my name is Joe Carmack. I'm a local realtor in the Twin Cities, and I put helpful videos out like just every single week, so make sure you subscribe on YouTube and like us on Facebook. Let's get into it. In my experience working with buyers and sellers, they typically are going to be on one side of this perspective or another, and I don't want to go too Bill Nye on you today, but generally, people are either far too logical based or far too sensing, emotion, feeling based. And both are obviously necessary. We want to have a good blend of both. And as humans, you can't get away from it. But the problem is if you get too far off to one side or the other, it can cause big problems. So let me explain how exactly this looks in real estate. Typically, almost always, I swear, I see the sellers are generally the far more logical person in the transaction. So when I'm working with the seller, they might say, you know what, Joe, I just replaced that leaky faucet. Great news, my house is now worth $39.45 more, okay? Not necessarily the case, right? Or they'll say, oh, I just did an addition on the house and it was 326 square feet and at $126 per square foot, that must mean my home value just went up by $47,000, 326, you know. There's something like this. It's very logical, it's very analytical, and they have very specific things that they think their home is worth because they've lived in it and it's been such a great experience. And to them, they're trying to be super, super logic-based without giving any real regard to the emotion coming in, who on the flip side is going to be considerably more feeling-based generally. Buyers, on the other hand, are going to come in and they'll say, ooh, this house is worth $350,000. I really like it. That's what it's listed at, but I don't think it's worth $350. It's worth $325, so I'm going to offer at $325, and if they won't take my offer, perfectly fine. Then if that buyer's in the inspection period, for example, maybe they'll get their inspection report, and it can be kind of intimidating, and so they'll see a whole list of things that are wrong, and they'll say, I want everything on that list fixed. This seller just didn't take care of anything, and oh my goodness, the caulking has soap scum on it. They need to get that replaced, right? And then they'll ask for a $1,000 credit to fix the caulking, or they'll come up with these really big things that are in reality very small things, and maybe the home is extremely well taken care of, but there's no perfect house, and so sometimes buyers will lose track of the fact that they just lost out on the last 5 offers they made. It's a miracle they even got this offer accepted. Maybe we shouldn't split hairs over caulking, for example. So now, let's unpack how this would look when these two perspectives come into a transaction together. We've got a seller that if they're not realistic on their sales price, the home may not sell. Or if they don't give any credit to how the buyer is feeling about the emotions that they're going through, maybe the fear that they'll overpay or the fear that they'll buy a house that's a total lemon and they're going to have all these problems. The buyer's feeling with this, and if the seller doesn't give any credit to their emotion, it can really hurt the transaction, and the two sides may not come together. On the flip side, if the buyer doesn't give any logic to the entire market or to what the seller is thinking with that left brain, then the buyer may ask for things that are not reasonable. So again, let's say with that inspection example, if the buyer asks for a whole laundry list of things, the seller is thinking, I've spent this much on the faucet and I've spent this much on maintaining my home and I always get the furnace repaired and yada, yada, yada. So they could very easily get offended at the buyer's list of relatively petty things that they didn't even know was wrong and they don't even agree necessarily is needing to be fixed. And as a result, the two can easily butt heads in that transaction. So what do you do if you're finding yourself on either side of the perspective, and I guarantee you will be to one side or the other? My advice is you hired an agent to give you advice about your situation and you need to take it. Unfortunately, buyers will rely too heavily on how they're feeling or too heavily on the logic of what they've decided that the home should be worth or what the market should be doing, and then they don't listen to their agent who they hired to give them the professional advice. So do yourself a favor, hire a great agent that you can trust who knows what's going on with the market, and then take their advice. You do that and you'll have a great transaction. That's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and like us on Facebook. And again, my name is Joe Carmack. Thank you for watching.